Look, I'm not ashamed to tell you it's been my experience and belief that the biggest superheroes in real life are women. More specifically, moms. I mean, I look at what my wife is able to do every day with our family and the leadership and grace she shows towards these feral, wild eyed kids that, of course, I produced. And it leaves me in absolute amazement and admiration. And I hope she's watching this so I get brownie points for everything that I just said. But any show we're sticking around for has such a woman at the helm. And in Hawkins, Indiana, and throughout this voyage that we know as Stranger Things, Joyce Byers, played by the scintillating Winona Ryder, I hope my wife didn't hear that part, is every bit of that at the very, very highest degree.
And I thought, okay, that's weird, right?
Born Joyce Maldonado, our matriarch of this story, is mother to both Jonathan Byers and Will Byers, who's constantly getting himself in trouble. And from the very beginning of this show, when Will goes missing, we see Joyce's panic meter at a pinned 10 the rest of the way through. Now, Jonathan is off picking up a shift for his family, and Joyce is working late as well. So when Will bikes home from the Wheeler house after that late night game of D&D and runs into a monstrous figure on the back roads of Hawkins, Indiana, there's no one home to help him ward this thing off. I mean, he is on his own from the very beginning, and ultimately Will is taken. Now, the next morning, Joyce goes from zero to meltdown with lightning quick efficiency once she realizes that Will doesn't show up for breakfast. Checks his room, he's not there. Checks the bathroom, he's not there. Calls the Wheelers. He went home last night. He did not stay over. And the desperation that Winona Ryder plays this part with as she searches for her small son is so unbelievably authentic and real. You feel it as you watch it, and when the phone fries out after it rings and she has to go to her job and ask for an advance just to get a new phone, it reminded me so much of my mom and her struggles as a single parent. Speaking of being a single parent, we have to mention Lonnie, her ex-husband, and father to both Jonathan and Will. Now, Lonnie's not in the picture at all at this point, but when Will goes missing, he's a logical place to start. Hopper tells her 99% of the time the kid is with somebody that they know, and Joyce obsesses over that 1% that he isn't. So then they end up finding a body that Joyce is still convinced is not her son. They find a body in this quarry, and Lonnie shows up pretending to do his white knight thing, but really all he's interested in is suing the owner of the quarry because there's no fence up. Any kid could just happen upon that quarry and fall in like he believes Will did. And Joyce ultimately tells him, go away. We didn't need you then. We don't need you now. And then that's when she really starts to lean on Chief Hopper to find out where her little boy really is, because whatever that thing was that they pulled out of the quarry, that's not Will. She's convinced of it. This gives us one of the most dynamic and fun will they won't they of the entire series, because Joyce and Hopper clearly know each other from their younger years. They talk about it several different times, and even in the midst of all this craziness and danger, there's clearly this playful interest on both sides between them. I mean, old people in love is fucking adorable. And man, in season 2, Bob Newby's cool, but I was bummed that Joyce was dating him and not Hopper. Although Winona Ryder is remarkable this entire way through, in season 1, that scene where she had to pull apart her living room wall to find Will stuck in this, behind this membrane of the Upside Down, that scene breaks your heart watching it, because he's there. He's right there, and she just can't get to him. It's a lot like Diane talking to Carol Ann through that television in Poltergeist. And as a parent, I can't imagine a more helpless feeling. And I understand the frustration. I get the desperation. My heart breaks every time I see either one of those scenes. And I've watched them each 20 to 25 times. And the sorrow and the uneasiness, it settles in my stomach every single time. Joyce never gave up, though. She never stopped believing that Will was alive. And when she painted that alphabet on her wall and then strung up those Christmas lights so Will could communicate to her through the lights, only for Will to spell out R-U-N, run. Major holy shit moment in that series. Absolutely awesome. And that, to me, is what separates this from being a sci-fi series to being a legitimate horror series. For me, this is a horror series. It's a horror series with a lot of heart and a lot of tender moments, but this stuff is scary as hell. And listen, having a cast full of kids makes this series just completely amazing, but you have to have a mother for these maniacs. And Joyce Byers is just that chick. I mean, think about when they're at Hawkins Middle and they're making this makeshift sensory deprivation pool in the middle of the gym for Eleven to do her thing in. And Joyce is just so gentle with her and so careful with her. And up until that point, Eleven hadn't had that. You know, she's got all these powers, but they've been contained in a lab with people who just didn't care about her. And now she's got so much sitting on her shoulders, and Joyce is just there for her. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful thing. If we lose Joyce Byers, on my meltdown scale, I'm going to be at an 8. And it's going to be a pretty intense 8 because she's a forever crush. And I remember watching Stranger Things, not knowing she wasn't even in it. I just kept hearing about Stranger Things on Netflix. And it was such a nice surprise to see her on the screen. You know, please be okay, Joyce. Please be okay. We need you. We need you moving forward.
Stop behaving like a jackass and ask him what he's doing that's making my magnets fall off my damn fridge!